Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be looking at the series that I put on my series to start in 2023, how I'm getting on with them, and then looking at some series that I want to start and work on over the second half of 2023. So the way that I did my series to start this year was that I would put one series a month for the first 6 months, and then I would have a new list for the second half of the year, because I've realised from the past couple of years on BookTube that for 2021 and 2022 I did not do amazingly well at reading those series on the list. So in 2022 I read 60%, so I read 6 of the 10 books I put on there, which is still more than half, but ideally I would like to be reading 100% of them. So I thought that if I had a more concise list, I would be better at sticking to it. And so far that does seem to be proving correct. So I feel as though this method is actually working. Out of the 6 books that I put on my series to start in the first 6 months of 2023, I have read 5 of them. And the one that I haven't read is actually the reread. So for the new series, I did start them. I had on my series to start, the one that I don't currently have here and with me is the Side Changing series by Nalini Singh, which I have started and have been working my way through. I've read the first 5 or so books in that series, and then these were the other ones. So I have read The Blood Trials, and I have read I probably will be DNFing the second book, so that one, tick. I have read The Blade itself for the first law, finally, and I am most of the way through Before They Are Hanged, so making some progress here. Obviously it's not quite finished yet, and ideally I would like to be able to start a series and finish it, because I do love to finish the things that I start, but I'm making progress in this, which is finally, because this has been a long time coming. This has been on many a TBR, many a list. Then I had Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. I have read this first book. I have not yet read The Oleander Sword, which is the second one. That one is published. The third book, I don't know when it's getting published. I assumed it was getting published this summer. I don't think it is now. I think it's getting published maybe next year. So I don't really mind waiting a little bit to read the second one. I have read Blood Mercy by Vella Roth. So I read this one, I've read the second one, I have started the third one, decided I wasn't in the mood, which is when I started Before They're Hanged, so obviously was in a very different mood and a very different frame of mind, because they are very different books. But again, I have started this one and working my way through it. And then the one that I didn't get to was The Forgetting Moon, probably the chunkiest, and this one is the reread, so I do intend to reread this one, read the second one, and get to the third one, which I have not yet read, and that is definitely still in the plans. Me and Stephanie from Stephanie's Bookverse do intend to read this together. It is in the cards for June, so I do still have a week left in June. I need to speak to her about when we're reading this, so whether it's June or July, this one is definitely still in the cards. I definitely do still intend to reread this, because I did love it when I read it, and finish off this series. Over the first few months of 2023, I feel I've been in a much more of a fantasy romance mood than a epic fantasy mood, which has been deterring me from picking up this sort of book. That epic fantasy mood, I believe, is coming. It's staying a bit more. I'm really enjoying the first law, so I feel as though it probably will be time sooner rather than later for this, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So that's what I have been working on, and I would say with pretty good success. So very feeling quite accomplished with that, and hopefully the final one that I do still have there will get read, especially way before the end of the year, and the series that I can finish within this list, I will hopefully also be able to finish them, as that is my aim. So now looking forward, because of my success at reading those series, actually sticking to a TBR, well done Abby, pat on the back, I figure I can put another 6 books also on for the second half of the year. So diving into the series that I want to start, so I have 5 new series, and then I do have 2 series that I want to reread and finish. So in total that is 7, so that is one more than the months that I have in the year, but we'll see how it goes. If I don't get to one of these, then I will say that I had a bonus in here. I'll start with the 2 rereads, and then we'll get into the other 5. I do want to reread The Mask of Mirrors, as well as The Liar's Knot, before getting to Labyrinth's Heart, the third and final book, which is coming out in August. I really thoroughly enjoyed these, and I feel as though I'm going to get more out of this series on reread. I really loved it, but I think because of how like political and in-depth this is, I think the reread is going to be a lot of fun. So I do definitely intend to get to this sooner rather than later so that I can read the third book, hopefully close to its publication. I mean, I did intend to do that with like the Bone Shard War, and I still haven't read the Bone Shard War, but this is a Venetian inspired fantasy following a main character, Ren, who is a con artist as she tries to infiltrate one of the merchant houses within this world and tries to rob them for all of their money. And she soon gets embroiled into a political, into all the political machinations, and a very interesting sort of magic system gets unveiled within this. It is multi-perspective, and I do really enjoy all the perspectives in this, and so really excited to get back into this series. The other series that I want to reread and then continue with is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I have read the first 2 books in this 4-book series, so Skyward and Starsight. Then there is Cytonic, the 3rd book, and a group of novellas already published, which I have not read yet, as well as Defiant, I think it's the 4th book, which is coming out in November. So my plans are over the summer to reread the first 2, and then read for the first time the 3rd book and the novellas ahead of that 4th book's publication. I have really thoroughly enjoyed this. It is a sci-fi series following a main character, Spencer, who enters into a pilot academy to fight off the Krell, which is like an alien, the alien presence which is bombarding her human planet. I loved this when I read it, really excited to reread it and continue the series, and then I can have those series finished off as well. So then moving into some new series, I have a couple of books which I've spoken about before in like 5-star predictions and in a few TBRs, and I still haven't got to them, so I feel as though I'm going to put them on here and then I will really endeavour to get to them. The first of these being Fireborn by Rosaria Munda, the first book in the, what series is this called? The Aurelian Cycle. This is a YA dragon fantasy. They're following 2 children. I think they're from different sides of the political class. And there has been a revolution, so one of them prior to the revolution was from a more aristocratic family, and one of them was from a lowborn family, and they're both entering into this dragon academy where they are training to become part of the dragon fleet, and I believe they are rivals. I've heard very good things about this, that it is classed as YA, but a lot of people that read predominantly adult books have really thoroughly enjoyed this because of the heavy political themes that are within this. So very excited to get into this, and I do love a dragon in a book. The other one is Dreams Pool by Juliette Marillier, the first book in a Blackthorn and Grimm novel, and we're following these 2 characters, and what they, in order to escape death, Healer Blackthorn promises to forgo vengeance against the man who destroyed her life and to assist anyone who asks for her help. Accompanied by a former prison mate, the silent hulk of a man named Grimm, she finds a home in Dalraida on the fringe of a mysterious forest, and then I think we follow their adventures there. I loved Daughter of the Forest, which I read last year, so I read that whole trilogy, and I know that there is like a sequel trilogy to that series, but I figured I wanted to read this first. I know that I really liked her writing style, and I feel as though this is going to be perfect for like the colder times of year, so like the autumn going into winter, very atmospheric. I feel like it's going to really fit that mood. It's not going to fit the mood of right now where it's like very, very hot today. I don't know what 30 degrees is in Fahrenheit. Like it's 30 degrees, so if it is a bit noisier because I do have the windows open, then that is why, because it is warm and it's only 10 a.m. But very excited to get into this in the colder months. I do have like many series on my TBR that have been on my TBR for a while, and I thought, as I am trying to read more diversity this year, I should try, when thinking about this list, to pick some diverse authors. If I put more people on this list that are from diverse voices, then that should definitely help me to continue to read more diverse voices, because a lot of what I work on are series, and if I'm putting a list of 5 series all from white authors, then I'm going to be reading predominantly white voices, and obviously they are books that I'm really excited about as well, so I haven't just put them on because of their ethnicity. So the first of these being Raybearer by Georgia Fueco. This is a YA duology, which is another contributing factor for it, because I do have multiple longer series, I'd say, on the go, so I thought I could feel very accomplished if I read a YA duology and I read it really quickly, and I can feel very accomplished because this does have quite like large print in it, and I feel like I could fly through it. and I feel like I might need that, especially if I'm still reading through something like this, which is very large and chunky. In this, we're following a main character, Tarisay, who is raised like away from society by this woman called the Lady, and when she comes of age, the Lady sends her to the capital to become part of like the Crown Prince's entourage or protege, and if she is picked, she will join the council members, and then the Lady wants her to murder him. So kill the prince once she has gained his trust, but I'm sure it's going to go a little bit awry. I'm sure there's going to be some romantic tensions that build between her and the prince, with her knowing that she has to kill him, but does she have to obey everything that the Lady says? I'm very, very intrigued to read this one. And then the final one is The Final Strife by Sarah L. Arifi. The second book in the series has recently come out, The Battle Drum. So I figure although it's not a completed series, it's getting towards time where I can read this, and maybe if I read this more towards the end of the year, it won't be too long between reading this one and the third book coming out, and I think that will be coming out in 2024. And I have now, I think I've met Sarah Arifi at a couple of events in London, and she seems just such a cool person, and it makes me really want to read her books because she just seems so cool. And I want to be friends with her, and I feel like I need to read her books now. I believe this has trials in it. It has different blood groups and people from different parts of society. That, like, if you have one type of blood, you're elite. If you have one type of blood, then you get your hands cut off. And they have swapped some babies many years ago, and now that they're going into this trial, having been raised in different upbringings. I'm very intrigued to read this, and I've generally heard really good things about it, and I'm really excited to read it, and I really, really hope that I love this one. And then the final series that I am thinking about starting in the next 6 months is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. So I fell down a little bit of a Carissa Broadbent rabbit hole in June, and I binged the Serpent and the Wings of Night series. So I fell in love with that series. Spoiler for a June wrap up. I loved it. So I just want to continue reading all the Carissa Broadbent books. I don't own them. I feel like I need to read them. I feel like they need to be read. She has a completed series, The Daughter of No Worlds. I don't know what the series itself is called, but that series I'm really interested in reading after my very, very positive experience with The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and how fun and how I just fell for it completely. So there we go. There are the series that I am currently looking at reading for the second half of the year. Hopefully I have as much success with this list as I had with the first list, and that I will also be able to finish off the Forgetting Moon and the Five Warrior Angels series as well. This is obviously not an exclusive list. I am sure I will read some other series as well. That has definitely happened in the first half of the year, that I have been picking up other series and bringing them into the mix as well. Not been doing very well at finishing series, but that will hopefully be a problem for future Abby. There we go. Let me know if you have read any of these, if you have any opinions on them, what series you were trying to prioritise for the second half of the year, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!